In this week's edition of the Pontiac, I have a feeling that I'm going to be playing some wiring games. So I brought a couple connectors. I see a clock, and I got a feeling there's a circuit board in here. Probably going to be playing with that. Looks like he's been working on this. Hasn't finished it yet. So, yeah, I think that's where we're going to be. Let's see. Nope, this one. Yeah, so the dash or the instrument cluster is still up here, ready to get put together. Don't know where the air cleaner is. I'll have to find that, or the housing. But yeah, this is kind of where we're at right now. So I'll bring you guys back in a minute. All right. So here is our glued down tab. It's had a week to cure. And let me find one of the little tabs. There we go. So you can see she opens. So guess next we just got to get some holes drilled, do a little riveting, get this bar across the top for that little solenoid motor, and then of course we'll have to drill a hole also for the wiring, but it shouldn't be too hard now. Okay, we've decided now's about as good a time as any to go ahead and clean these gauges up too before everything starts coming back together. So looks like we just got to pop 3 screws, pull it out, unplug the voltmeter and the fuel gauge, and then we'll figure out how to get that bezel off. It looks awful riveted. We're not sure about that. Okay. Yeah, looks pretty straightforward. Pop out that dash light, and you can't even plug them in wrong. They did index. Okay, those rivet looking things from the front, they're really just little poppy clips. So that'll be nice. You just pop them out. Nice and cheerful. And just like that, it's all apart, ready to be cleaned up. Polish that, clean that real nice, dust all of that out. Be good for another 40 years. Okay, just marked my whole locations for riveting this down. So you'll notice this is 2 pieces of metal here. So if I drill through that, this is going to want to peel down. So when you drill through it, if you're holding the other end here, that's going to keep it from separating. Okay, so here is the position. Now I haven't pop riveted it yet, but then let me move this wiring. This little bracket winds up on the flap and into the pintle. So this will sit wherever this closes to, and then when this is active, it'll just go, and that'll be that. Okay, we're going to find out how well I've got this adjusted. I just turned the power supply on. We hooked up our wiring as instructed. So let's start with, does this even work? And let's see what this looks like. Now remember, we're upside down. Okay, I can see daylight there, and wow, I got it adjusted pretty quick. That is not that hard. So we're going to set it up with that kickdown switch. Well, with one of these new ones sitting over here, so that anytime you're more than probably 3/4 throttle, this sucker wants to go. Oh, you can't hold both sides and do it. So see, that'll go, and that'll activate the flap. So that's not that hard. Okay, starting the very terrifying change of the clock and the tack. So this should be fun. You know how fun it is to take gauges apart. Ooh. Okay, with some careful removal, no yanking on anything, I have the clock out, and I'm getting ready to change the tack. So hopefully we don't mess anything up. Just like that, and you just transfer these little clips over, and boom, totally new circuit. Taking this apart has been very not fun, but we're getting there. I'm starting to wonder what's going to happen when we get to this part here. Probably going to have to modify it a little bit, but 3 things at a time. Okay, we finally have the actual movement removed. This one doesn't work. These old ones like this work with a little solenoid. You know, they're not quartz on this one. It's interesting. However, the fact that it doesn't work does us no good. I've recovered the parts that we have to reuse. I'm still removing some parts from the gauge face. And then here's our new parts over here, as well as that guy. Now, you'll note, those tabs sticking out, well, we don't have that. So, I have a feeling we're going to be cutting those and soldering these wires to it. So, we'll just keep plugging away. Well, in disappointing news, these pegs and these pegs, they're not in the same spot. I couldn't even put this on here if I wanted to, even without this tube here. So, I don't know what to do here. Looks like all the research we did and all the questions, it still wasn't right. So it's not a T3025. That's a real bummer. Okay, since the other one doesn't fit, I just cleaned this one up real well. And cleaned up the solder joints on the back. I think I may have found a cracked one. So we're just going to let this run for a little while. And you can see the second hand is definitely working. But it's going to take a little time to see if the minute hand and the hour hand are working. So we're just going to leave these and come back after a while. While that's still being tested, and you can see it's been running and it seems to be working, I took the ignition splitter out of the fuse box that already went to two things, popped one end off, we cut it off, and then we've added our little separate fuse for that kickdown solenoid, you know, for the flapper. Because, you know, you got to do 10 things at a time here. Alright, so for now, we've got the clock reinstalled. But instead of hooking up the leads, we're going to go and chuck it on a battery. And come back in a while and make sure the clock stays running. Okay, so it's about 9 o'clock. We just hooked it up to a battery. We'll come back and see how this goes later. It won't be in this video. Well, at least we got that one back together today. And boy, it looks nice. I'm going to throw that in real quick. There. So, at least that's back in. That's ready to go in once we build the switch harness. Got to figure out where that's going to come through the firewall yet. You know. Kind of hoping there's already an existing wire I can use, but I'm not holding my breath. So, just gonna have to look. I'm sure there's somewhere I can snake a wire through one of these existing grommets. But anyway, we'll deal with that later. Well, I hate closing it out, but I did dig a couple extra 56 females out and a back shell that fits. You know, I mean, we will be using a new one, but it's the same back shell. So, yeah, we'll run that clock test because we just don't want to go through all the work of putting this back in here and finding out we have a clock that only works for an hour. So, and give them a few days. This one's gonna have to go back. We didn't mess it up or honestly do anything bad to it, except I gotta put this paper back in here. We've got the shaker hood sitting in the other room, or you know, the scoop. He's over here doing some cleanup. We're still going to have to figure out where we're going to pass through the firewall for the kickdown. He's working on the switch. We now know where we're going to get our 12 volts. So it's coming along. It's just, it's amazing to me how long it takes to do everything. You know, 4 hours, and sure goes quick. So anyway, that's going to be it for the Pontiac tonight. Thanks for watching. Always pay attention to what you're doing and where you can and can't fit. Sometimes you need a friend.